I hardly know where to begin. This has been such a news-filled day, but it's wonderful to have you with us, and it's been an extraordinary day, I'm sure, at the White House. Let's start with the resignation of General Mattis coming suddenly. The general making it very clear that the president deserves someone who's more aligned with him. I suspect the nation agrees with the Defense Secretary that the president does deserve that.
Absolutely. And Lou, it's always great to be with you. So thanks for having me on. Look, General Mattis has served President Trump's administration for almost 2 years. By the time he completes his time as a defense secretary, he will have been there 2 years. He served our country for over 4 decades. He served with distinction. He's an incredible guy. And look, the president and Secretary Mattis have agreed to disagree on a number of topics, but they continue to have a good relationship. And I think that this is probably something that will be made into a much bigger thing in the media than it will be in the White House over the coming weeks. But they're going to continue to have a good relationship. And again, he has served the president and the country well, and have a great deal of respect for him, an incredible person, and somebody that we're all proud to have worked with.
Yeah, an extraordinary Marine and an extraordinary public servant. And the president was gracious in his thanks. As you say, it's been apparent that they haven't always agreed, but the president is the commander-in-chief. And this is another thing we won't hear from the national left-wing media. Has been, I think, extraordinarily gracious in the way in which he's dealt with those issues. The number of times that the general made it, sometimes, in my judgment at least, petulantly clear that he didn't agree with the president.
Look, again, only one person was elected to be commander-in-chief and to be president of the United States, and that was Donald Trump. Secretary Mattis was selected to be part of the president's team, and he's been a great member of his team, and he's voiced his opinions. The president always listens to his thoughts and his opinions and his advice, but at the end of the day, it's the president's decision to make, because he was the one that was elected by the American people to lead our country, and he's done exactly that. Sometimes they have fully agreed on a decision, and other times they haven't, and that's how government's supposed to work. That's actually why it's been a good relationship, and the president is thankful for his service.
Absolutely. Let's turn to an advancing wall funding bill in the House. The Rules Committee approving it by a significant margin. Your thoughts on whether the president will have his bill, his funding for the wall tonight?
That's a question better left to Congress and whether or not they can get that through. I can assure you that at some point this president will get the full funding that he wants for the wall, because he said he's going to do it, and he's never not gotten what he's set out to do. And we see that every single day. He's been delivering since day one of taking office, and we're seeing him continue to fight for what the people elected him to do, and that's border security. That's protecting American citizens. We have to stop the flow of illegal drugs into this country. We have to stop human trafficking, and we have to stop terrorism from coming across our borders. Lou, you know as well as anybody, and you're one of the president's biggest and best supporters on this fact, that a country without borders is no country at all, and the president's going to continue fighting, and he's going to not stop until he makes sure we have full border security that we need to protect our country.
You know, I hope that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi can hear what you and I can hear after the president decided he would not proceed without border security funding, and that's a hallelujah chorus. Can you hear it as loudly in Washington as we can hear it here in New York?
I'm Southern Baptist, Lou. We're always hearing hallelujah choruses.
Well, God bless you. Let's turn to the president's bill on agriculture, moving almost $1 trillion for America's farmers and agribusiness. This is another big day on that level. It hardly was mentioned on some quarters, and you could see some wags on even cable television having difficulty in acknowledging the president had achieved yet another success.
A major success that the president signed into law earlier today. Unfortunately, like you said, it won't get a lot of coverage. We're certainly going to get a lot of coverage and questions about palace intrigue, who likes who, what's the president's mood. But I doubt we'll get a lot of questions about the major accomplishments that the president has delivered on, the Farm Bill being one of them, in that he protected our farmers and ranchers just like he promised he would do. He delivered just like he said he would. Secretary Perdue also signed additional documents today, making sure we were doing everything we can for work requirements. Another major success for the president and his administration.
It seems like some of the clever individuals who are in leadership in both parties, in the Senate and the House, underestimated the power of the presidency, and particularly this president, like the one who preceded him, using a phone and a pen to serve the American people. I do think there is another big deal that really deserves a lot of attention, and I just want to take a moment to highlight that, if we may, and that is this new enforcement of the Immigration and Naturalization Code, and focus on the fact that asylum seekers will now have to wait in Mexico instead of the United States, where they often get lost and just simply sent into society. They have to stay in Mexico now as their cases are adjudicated. That is an amazing display of partnership as well with the new government of Mexico, is it not?
Absolutely. It is a monumental shift and a historic moment to see Mexico and the United States working together, coming to this agreement. Secretary Nielsen, Secretary Pompeo did an amazing job working to get this agreement with the new government in Mexico, and it will have a dramatic impact on the number of individuals coming into our country illegally, and those that are seeking asylum can still do so, and there will be a more orderly process. But this will be a major transition for illegal immigration, and should certainly cut down on a large number of illegal immigrants coming into the country and staying and not having real asylum claims, and we'll be able to facilitate those that do and bring them into the country and help those.
Yeah, it's to me one of the most promising developments, historic in and of itself, the enforcement of our code, but also working in such a level of partnership with the Mexican government. To put it in some context, there are 780,000, as you well know, a backlog of 780,000 immigration cases, and literally millions who are in this country illegally, who have just simply, as they are wont to do, walk away from a proceeding and promise to come back, and well, they don't keep their promises. So it's a very encouraging development. I just have to ask you this, Sarah, because millions of Americans want to know. How do you keep your great sense of humor and demeanor through the assault by the White House press corps?
Never let your critics get you down, Lou. You always have to stay focused on the good things. And working in this White House, there are a lot of good things that are happening. The president has done a tremendous job, and it's an honor and a privilege to get to work here and to work for the American people, and I'm proud I get to be part of it every day.